Good afternoon, everyone. Ben here, and I actually was going to try and get this out to you in the morning, and actually record it in the morning, but I got snowed in, so I had to clean off my car, and yeah, a whole 16 inches of snow. Fantastic. Well, on the bright side, I've got coffee and soup and all the stuff that'll keep you warm on a cold day. I'm still not used to this weather. Anyway, so we're going to be updating for the 2020 elections. Pretty soon I'm going to actually build a model for the Senate. As soon as I can start getting... It's essentially going to be very similar to this. I may just make a copy and rename it, and eliminate rows for states that don't have a Senate election. And this will pretty much allow me to run it off of autopilot and just trust in the information that I have. I probably won't factor in, Trump approval rating as heavily, simply because it's somewhat less important, but it's still a factor. Don't get me wrong, it's still very much a factor. I'm still waiting for the Morning Consult state approval rating tracker, because that is, at least for now, what I'm using is a dummy poll here. And hilariously, they were for the most part right on the money in most areas. Let's look at California. Yeah, pretty much right on the money. So now we go to the model's forecast, which, again, I'm trying to beat this is my personal forecast, and my goal is to actually beat the model. And remember, from my forecast, the shading is based off of my confidence, not my belief in what the margin will be. It's my confidence in the prediction. So a lighter color means I'm less confident. A darker color means I'm more confident. So let's actually go into the model and kind of break it down. So states that are within 5% are in the lightest shade for each, for Trump and the Democrats. I'm assuming Trump, because I don't see anything happening between now and election day 2020, or at least election filing date. Simply because I don't honestly think that the House is even going to push impeachment, let alone go through with it. And the Senate definitely isn't removing him from office if he does get impeached. So for the Nebraska and Maine splits, while I don't have them, I'm debating whether or not I should include the split. I just don't have enough information to make an accurate model for those, so I'm kind of going based off of what 2016 showed me the margin has to be for a candidate to win those splits, and making as good an estimate as I can as to where the model would put it if I had that information. So Maine, Trump still has an advantage in that 2nd congressional district that is part of rural Maine, and he has a slight edge in the Nebraska 2nd district, which is becoming very much a swing area. And you look at this, And there's nothing really too surprising. Again, with New York, let's go down and highlight this. I feel I have to explain this every single episode or every single update, because people are like, why is New York so close in your model? It shouldn't be that close. It's because I'm giving Trump a home state advantage. Again, I'm tempted to decrease this, but I'm running based off of the average. I cannot for the life of me find that article that shows the presidential advantage, but the vice presidential advantage, multiple sources, not just 538, put it at about 2 to 3%. And you can actually find that here. We're going with 3% because I trust 538's math better. I think they found it was like 2.2%. But they also noted that there were some outliers that threw it off from what the main average would be or something like that. At least that's what I gathered from the article. So as for New York, I'll change it if I feel that it will give me a better representation, like if all of a sudden Trump starts doing really well in the polls. I still don't think he's going to win New York, but I do think that there should be that, but I will change it if that's the case, just to make sure my model isn't completely stupid. Obviously, the goal of the model is to see how I'm doing, how my forecast is based off purely the numbers rather than anything else. As you can see, the national polling mean is decreasing, but again, that's because we don't have many actual national polls. So this is mostly a few national polls with a massive effect based off of approval rating. I'm not going to change these today simply because everything looks reasonable. I may actually change this to just a 1 and that to a -1. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and just check to make sure everything still remains the same. Actually, that flips Arizona, as you can see, so we're going to go ahead and flip that. Does it flip anyone else? It does put Colorado technically out of reach. That was out of reach. Florida, it's still close. Georgia, still very close. Iowa, it makes exceedingly close. Well, not exceedingly, it's just close. Maine, I think that would actually flip that district. Just slightly, though. Maryland. Michigan, still within 5. Minnesota, not 10. Okay. Nothing changes there. Nebraska, actually, I believe that would be just enough to flip that district, but ever so slightly. Nevada, I already have that as, yep. New Hampshire, that would go to the next darkest shade. New Jersey, yeah. New Mexico, that's to be expected. New York, yep. North Carolina, that flips the result. Dakota, Ohio drops it down within. There we go. Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina. Okay, Texas. Drops that into a lean category. Utah's still not there. Vermont, okay. Virginia, still within 10, but basically not. Washington, okay. West Virginia, Wisconsin, still within margin. And that's with over 10% lead for Democrats. And they're not really, I mean, this is this still isn't the margin Barack Obama won by in the Electoral College, despite having only a 7% lead, or a 7% margin of victory. And the reason for this is because the nation is a lot more polarized these days, at least in term, it's a lot more polarized these days. Because back when Obama won, I actually want to highlight this a little bit because it is important to talk about. Let's go back to 2008 when Obama won by 10 million votes, which was about a 7% margin of victory. You know, as you can see, he made a lot of states very competitive, and if he did win by the amount my model is forecasting, aka 10%, let's actually pull up the interactive map. No. There you go. He likely would have won. Let's go ahead. He likely would have won Montana and Missouri as well. And there would be a non-zero chance at... I just want to check to make sure I got my margins of victory correct. Here we go. There was a decent chance he could have won one of the Dakotas as well. We'll go ahead and throw him North Dakota. And yeah. So this wouldn't be unrealistic in a 10-point Barack Obama margin of victory. Obviously, things would have changed by yeah. Yeah. Moving on to my personal forecast. This is assuming polling does regress back, or does the technical term is regress to mean. This is assuming that not only do we get more quality polling showing a tight race as to be expected, but it also assumes that the economy continues to do reasonably well and that the incumbency advantage actually does exist, which are things that you expect for a president, okay? And because for the sake of being unbiased, I have to treat him as a normal president, even though I would very much like to treat him as a narcissist. I don't know why I said it in that weird way, but whatever. I would love to treat him as a narcissist who doesn't know how to shut up. I think this is a reasonable prediction, assuming he's a normal president. Slight decrease in electoral votes, mostly coming from Wisconsin and Michigan. Or, yes, all coming from Wisconsin and Michigan. But still holding on in Pennsylvania and keeping his coalition mostly together. So, moving on to the Senate, where I'm not going to assign leans or anything like that. Not yet, at least. I really don't see any state opposing, picking a senator with a different party ID than the presidential candidate. And yes, that includes Texas, where Cornyn may not be as popular as Ted Cruz in terms of approval rating, but he's certainly less unpopular. Everybody I know who lives in Texas likes Cornyn, and that includes a few people who live in San Antonio proper. Again, Michigan could be an exception if John James runs. But again, I don't want to run based off of assumptions. Maine could stay with Suzanne Collins. Yeah, Suzanne Collins is from Maine, not Lisa Murkowski. I flipped that up a few episodes ago, and y'all caught me in the comments. I think that may be the first time I've screwed up who was from where. Except for that time when I screwed up whoever the elector was who cast a faithless ballot for Quincy Adams when Monroe won essentially unanimously. Collins could definitely win Maine despite the state going to whoever the Democrat is. It just depends on a lot of factors. But I'm sticking by my prediction that it's going to go with the presidential result. Because races are getting a lot more nationalized. It's just the way things go. So we see the Democrats getting +2 and the Republicans getting a +1. So this means Democrats getting net of +1. And that would mean the Senate is still controlled by Republicans, but it's 52-48 again, heading into 2024, where you have a large card of swing states up, which could definitely radically alter the makeup of the government. And it's very likely in 2020, maybe not, ooh, that is a good point. 2022 doesn't have has a lot of swing states up and it's not tied to a presidential election, so you could see some Republicans hold out, like in Wisconsin, I believe it's Ron Johnson. You've got Ohio's Rob Portman. I forget the guy's name from Pennsylvania, but him, Marco Rubio in Florida. All of those senators are up. And they could hold on, despite it being, in all likelihood, a good year for the Democrats. So, 2024, there would essentially the states that were up this year will be up again in 2024. So this is what the Senate currently looks like. And all these states are going to be up again, minus the special elections. Okay. And again, I'm going to say that no state rejects it, that no state is going to buck the presidential candidate. But that's neither here nor there. So, plus we're focusing on 2020, not, and in the case of the governor's race is 2019. Looking at it, I really don't see it going any other way than Louisiana sticks with John Bel Edwards and Mississippi and Kentucky re-elect their Republican governors. Again, approval ratings matter much less in gubernatorial races, though there is opportunity for crossover. It's number one, polarization, and number two, incumbency and party ID it's a lot to overcome. And the Democrats would have to run an extremely popular and extremely good candidate in Kentucky. And I don't know anyone from Kentucky who could actually do that, who fits those two descriptions. Any Democrats from Kentucky that fit those descriptions. They're just not something I think is possible. In Mississippi, the state's politics are basically baked in at a 15% advantage for Republicans. And that is 100% serious. Every election in Mississippi is basically 15% advantage for the Republicans. Okay, next election, 15% advantage to the Republicans. Next election, 15% election advantage to Republicans. And that's every single year, every race, except for the congressional makeup, in which Mississippi does have a district that does elect Democrats. But that's because of the way the district lines are drawn, as well as the fact that they have to have a majority-minority district. And that's the district along the Mississippi River. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.